Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. China has sharply criticised the US for vetoing a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
China expresses its strong disappointment.
China's UN ambassador Zhang Jun said the move sent the wrong message and effectively gave a green light to the continued slaughter. The White House said the Algerian proposed resolution would jeopardize talks to end the war. The US has proposed its own temporary ceasefire resolution, which also warned Israel not to invade the city of Rafah. The resolution was backed by 13 of the 15 members of the UN Security Council, with the UK abstaining. President Joe Biden has said that the US will announce a major package of sanctions against Russia on Friday.
We'll have a major package announced on Friday.
Officials said the package was intended to hold Russia accountable over the death of Putin critic Alexei Nalvany and the 2-year Ukraine war. Navalny's allies believe he was murdered on the orders of President Vladimir Putin. Prison authorities say he suffered sudden death syndrome. 2 men have been charged with murder for last week's deadly shooting at the Super Bowl victory parade in Kansas City. A woman died and 22 others were injured during the shooting, which police said stemmed from the 2 men arguing. The charged men, identified as Dominic Miller and Lyndall Mays, were both shot and wounded during the incident. The prosecutor said at a press conference that the 2 men had been charged with second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon.
Defendant Mays was in a verbal argument with another individual. And the evidence does not reflect in these early moments that there was any prior history between these individuals, Mays and the individual he was in some kind of verbal dispute with. There was no connection to each other, those 2 individuals. Now, that argument very quickly escalated to Mays drawing his firearm, a handgun. Mays pulled his handgun first. Almost immediately, others pulled their firearms. Defendant Miller was one of those individuals. While both adults are charged with murder, the evidence tells us that it was Mr. Miller's firearm. Mr. Miller's firearm struck Lisa Lopez Galvin.
Republican candidate Nikki Haley has pledged to press ahead with her long-shot presidential bid, saying she had no intention of dropping out after Saturday's nominating contest in South Carolina. Difficult polls in her home state, on top of 3 consecutive losses to Mr. Trump, have fueled speculation that Ms. Haley may drop out of the race soon, but she's pledged to at least finish the 16 races on Super Tuesday on the 5th of March.
Well, I hear what the political class says, but I hear from the American people, too. That's why I refuse to quit. South Carolina will vote on Saturday, but on Sunday, I'll still be running for president. I'm not going anywhere.
Police in India have fired tear gas on protesting farmers who have resumed their march on the capital Delhi after 4 rounds of talks with the federal government failed to end the deadlock. The farmers, who are demanding assured prices for their crops, say they are prepared with months of supplies. Delhi's borders have been fortified with several layers of barricades and barbed wire to stop their entry, but protesters have warned they would use heavy machinery to push through. Beef production by 3 of the world's biggest meat packers has been linked to illegal deforestation in Brazil's Cerrado, according to campaigners. The savanna hosts 5% of Earth's species and is a buffer against global warming. In one part of the Cerrado, nearly half of the farms supplying the companies had cut down trees. The companies, JBS, Minerva and Marfrig, said they had acted in line with local law. And a pioneering European satellite is due to fall to Earth. These telescopic photos show the ERS-2, which is falling by more than 10 kilometers per day. It was a cutting-edge observation platform when it launched in 1995, forging technologies that are now used routinely to monitor the planet. It's been gradually descending since ending operations in 2011 and will take an uncontrolled fiery plunge into the atmosphere today. The European Space Agency says most of the 2-ton satellite will burn up on the way down. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.